I think it's a long.
Yes,
Hey, what's up?
sir. What's up? What's up? Back with another A to Z here with Oyanga. I am Rod. We got a jam-packed show today. We're gonna be talking about the Jinn and politics, maybe a little immigration, our being in life. We'll see how it all unfolds. What's up, Ali? What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just sitting here. Just got in. We was trying to hurry up and rush and get this thing moving. Forgot about
Yeah.
little stuff. I was spending some time with my daughter out eating breakfast and stuff.
Oh,
Just
that's
now
that's
coming
cool.
back.
That's always time
Yeah,
well spent. That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So we got started a little bit late, but we're in the building. We're in the building. We were jumping on a little topic a little while ago, talking about Trump. Right, he's got a lot going on, and you sent me this little video. You said you want to give us a breakdown on it real quick. I can pull it up and share it. We can kind of get through some of it.
Well, we can, but let's hit the. There's so much stuff in there. There's
Yeah, it's a lot.
there's so much stuff. There's a lot of stuff. So I think we on that video we should go ahead and take some time, even though it happened on the 4th. So, but I just seen it yesterday. And he backs up a lot of the stuff that I was talking about. So yeah, but we should still go back to what we was talking about last week. I think it's important, even though this guy does bring up the Jinn. And so
Yeah,
we
I'm
can
gonna.
incorporate that in there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he bring. I'll pull it up at least so people can get the gist of what we're talking about. We're talking about this video here. What does he call himself?
Some people are triggered
Is
by
he
what I
Doctor
say.
X? Is
Huh?
he Doctor X? It says this is Doctor X large channel. I guess he's not Doctor X. Do you know who this guy's talking is?
No, I don't, but I have seen
Attention
him
and listen, because there
quite a
are a
few
ton of
times.
Okay.
I've seen him a ton of times, but he has. I think this video right here is important to a lot of people, and it's important to me because he kind of explains. I don't think he kind of explains. He explains thoroughly what I was talking about um, when I said that Trump was a gift for us.
Mm.
When I said that he was a gift for us, he says it as Trump was the sign that the end is here. Not so much in a bad way, but he's the one that's going to bring down the American powers. He's the one who's helping it to happen. Not saying that he's a bad dude or anything, but he's the one who's letting it. I mean, he's the start. He's the sign. So it was funny too because he did say basically for anybody who doesn't understand, Trump is orange. That is a sign. He's he didn't say it that way, but that's how I took it. Hey, he's the only orange person on earth right now, so it has to be a sign. You have to pay attention to what he's doing.
Man, yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody else orange patrol. Now that I think about it, I had to go back. Like, yeah, he's right. He is orange. I mean, yeah, this dude dropped a lot of facts, man. So you guys have a chance. It's a long video. I think it was about 20 minutes. So we won't jump into it too much. But he did mention some cool things about, because last week we were talking about the Jinn. We pulled up some stuff on Israel, how it's been reported by major news stations that they're using Jinn or other spirits to help them fight the war over there. And he brought that up. So it really brings us into the realm of how there's things operating in the unseen world that are really having a major effect here. And even I think what's that scripture in the Bible that says that we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. This guy was talking about that, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And it's some interesting times that we're in, bro.
Oh yeah, and he did make a point by saying it's already too late to change anything. You just have the time to be prepared, to prepare yourself for what's going to happen. We can't change anything. We can't change the way the dollar is going to fall. We can't change the fact that the fiat currency is fake. We can't change the fact that these other countries have already created alliances with each other that exclude America. You know, we can't change that.
Yeah.
The only thing we can do is prepare ourselves and get our network together. So when everything does fall apart, we have a chance to survive through this.
Yeah,
So
sure.
it
I mean,
is important.
for sure. I mean, it is. What does he say? Like America's what modern day Babylon, and the order is to come up out of her, right? Like get up out of Babylon, where the destruction is originating from. And last week we were talking about Israel using the Jinn, but he pointed out that America is also doing the same thing, which shows that there's a link between America and what's going on in the Middle East on a spiritual realm.
Yeah, and he said that a lot of the he said a lot of the Europeans have been like, they don't believe in the Jinn. They don't believe in Satan. They don't believe in the demons. They're so that's why it's easier for them to be taken over, or
Right, for sure.
to be as cruel as they have been. And there was this thing that was said, and I'm not doing no race thing or anything like that, so you can get off of that. I'm just talking about something that has happened that I'm like, how come people didn't think about this when they called the Indian savages, right? When we was younger. I mean, I know I thought about it this way, and maybe everybody else in the world thought about it this way, but just didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But they said they called the Indian savages, but those settlers were the ones killing all the Indians, killing the food and making them sick and doing all the other stuff. When the Indians, they even gave them names that not even them. We call them Indians now, and they weren't even Indians then. So they did a lot of different things, and we still accept the fact that they were called savages. Every place that the settlers went, the people who they took over were savages. And now when you start looking back at the records, which I don't, it was a Jamaican lady who said that some of the settlers that came over into their islands called them cannibals, right? Called it islanders cannibals. But they said that it was like, before they got there, before the settlers got there, they have records that there was like 3 million or 300 million or some millions of people on the islands, and that they were growing. It shows records that those islands were growing. And once the settlers got there, they showed that the island population was shrinking.
Yeah.
So she was like, so who do you think were cannibals? Cannibals, they don't grow and survive and keep on getting bigger. They would only shrink. They wouldn't have a thriving civilization. But as soon as the Europeans came over there, their population started shrinking. So who are the cannibals? Sure. And then I seen another guy. So I mean, this is the algorithm that I didn't hit. I don't know why, but they talk about how the Europeans were cannibals even in Europe. And if you've seen that thing, you know who Jonathan Swift is, right?
No, tell me about him.
Okay, Jonathan Swift wrote an article called The Modest Proposal, and they were going through a financial thing, and people were having babies and were starving. So what he wrote to the king, he proposed that the poor people sell their babies to the government so that the government can chop them up and feed them to the people, so there's no starving, right? That's cannibalism right there. You know what I mean? And that's the European thing. So it's part of that record of them eating people. So I'm not saying that's just the algorithm that I'm on. And I learned
Yeah.
about that book when I was in college, and then I'm 50, so that was years ago.
Yeah. I mean, that is wild. I mean, it's on record too that what the Moors or Black Moors went up into Europe and started to civilize those people up there because they were so primitive and so behind that they brought these hygienic techniques to those people. And these Moors there was, trade routes all across the world before the European settlers moved out and started conquering lands. Once they got more civilized and organized, that's when they started going out and doing the conquering and stuff. But they were, like you say, savages in those European areas that needed to be civilized by a lot of people. I think Moors were the original people that went over and started to do that. And there's a show called Vikings that aired on BBC, I believe, if you've ever seen it.
I heard of the show.
Basically, it's just like you hear about the stories about the Vikings going over and conquering all these places, and they were just brutal warlords. But there's one season where they go into Spain or somewhere in Europe, and they show you that the people there were people of darker color who were living in a more civilized way than these Vikings were. And they kind of show this historical thing that some of the cultures, especially indigenous cultures in some of these societies, were already settled and civilized until these conquerors came in the name of religion, Vikings or whatever, and destabilized what was already there. And we call these, like you said, they call these people Indians, all types of other names. But you can kind of just paint the umbrella of that they were indigenous people across the globe. Some of them were called Indians, Aboriginals, whatever. And they were already living in a more natural way with the environment. And they were living in a more harmonious way with the environment, the way they built, the way they used their aquifers, the way electricity and things were powered. It was more symbiotic with nature until quote unquote civilization came in.
Yeah.
And the civilization that they tell us, which is nothing but it's not even close to civilization if you really look at how disruptive it is to a natural state of a human being.
Hey, it's almost comical. It's sad, but it's almost comical. It was like, oh, you came over here to show us civilization. How about this? This is civilization, and they destroy it. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
Civilization is I need to wear my clothes like this, huh? You know. So
yeah, like
you like neckties? Here's an upside down necktie. Hang on that motherfucker. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like all of the mounds, like if you look at the historical places, like I can't remember these books I was reading, but it was talking about basically how in America, when you walked around to the rivers and all this stuff, there were fish everywhere, gemstones and crystals everywhere.
Yeah.
The land was fertile everywhere. And then they started putting dams. They started changing the way the water flowed and mining and pilfering all the minerals. And now you see almost no fish or gems or fertile land anywhere except for the small places in which they've kind of sectioned it off in order to create this system of control or controlling the environment or controlling how resources are distributed back to the people.
Yeah. Hey, when we was in Korea, this was the first time I ever seen it. And it was kind of sad. And we started noticing it. Okay, so we right there on the beach.
Yeah.
You know, my family walking down the beach and we're sitting there looking, and then we go over to a pier and we're looking and we're like, oh yeah, we're looking in the water for the fish, but we don't see the fish. We see the little the little
like minnows
crustaceans. No,
okay.
No fish. But like the little crustacean on the rocks that are running around, but they're like basically beach or rock cockroaches or whatever,
Sure, I got you. Yeah.
they're those. And we're sitting there and I'm looking and we're at the ocean. We're at the ocean, but it's a bay part of the ocean. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, do y'all hear? Can you hear anything? They was like, no, it's silent. You could just only hear the waves. I'm like, there's no birds. How come there's no birds? We're at the ocean. There's even like eateries. And I'm thinking like, hey, California would have at least a few seagulls, flying around, but there's nothing. We're looking in the water. And then I asked the people, they was like, I'm like, where's all the where's all the birds? And they was like, there's nothing for them to eat. I was like, what do you mean? Aren't there like, sharks, or where's the whales or the fish? They was like, oh, if there's something in this water, we eating it. So the sharks don't come here. So it's safe to swim. But and then when you go on the edge, they got every single sea creature. Creatures that I didn't even know that there was. Like, they got algae and what's that other stuff?
Plankton,
seaweed and all that stuff hanging on the sides and in things. They got little, just everything that could be eaten out of the sea right there. So they overfished. They overfished. Trust me, I don't know why I brought that up, other than it's an interesting fact that people
we overfished, bro. I mean, that's a good point. Damn.
Oh, but yeah, I forgot what you brought up about.
Oh, I was just saying like how all the resources have been basically, taking control over and then just redistributed back to the people for money.
Okay.
Yeah, in so many words, but I mean,
overfishing.
It's the same thing, right? If you really understand how it's all connected and how everything is everything, and everything is everything, and if we're overfishing the earth and we're cannibalizing each other, it starts like in the spiritual system too, right? You over cannibalizing, taking off of people's energy, and it just translates into the physical thing where you're eating all the energy and over consuming.
Greed.
So it's all kind of interrelated, because a lot of I think we've talked about it on several occasions that the best way to conquer someone is to first go at their spiritual system first, because that's gonna influence how they interact with the world. So if you start taking their energy, they got to get the energy from somewhere, so it just manifests into what you see: overfishing, over farming, over killing people, violence. It all just kind of unfolds from there.
Yeah, and then when you bringing up the Jinn part of it, that has people. I think, okay, excuse me, I got a lot of stuff going through my head all at the same time right there. But there's the loss of vocabulary when it comes to Jinn. And what that is.
Get your vocab up. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like with that, them using the Jinn is, for your knowledge, is Jinn, or from your knowledge, is Jinn Satan, or is Jinn just evil, or is Jinn demons? Like what? And I'm taking these as different levels of.
Yeah, I got you. It's kind of like a knife can be for good or evil. It just depends on whose hands it's in. And whoever is accessing the spiritual world, depending on what their orientation is, whether it be to create destruction or whether it be able to create unity, is going to determine how the Jinn are interacting with the world. Because the Jinn, or spiritual world, demons, all those types of things don't have a body, so they have to interact with the world through the people, and or they do have the ability to listen and then report back and all that stuff. But I think it could go either way. They have the ability to go good or quote unquote evil. I mean, I don't really like those terms per se, or do positive things or negative things. So I don't think it's a definitive they're this or that. They could be either this or that.
So what a person would be thinking is a jinn could be considered an angel, because
Could be
Satan
considered that.
in
Could be considered that.
Christianity, Satan is an angel. David is an angel.
Sure.
Even though they're cherubims, but they're still angels. Satan just chose to go bad, and David is good. So they would be considered jinns that had made their choice.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you know how that saying go that one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
Right.
So an angel could be seen as an angel for me, but for you it's a devil because I got this angel kicking your ass. But to me, he's an angel.
Not my ass.
I mean,
not mine.
Not your ass.
Hey, kick the dude that live outside's ass. Not mine.
Yeah.
We on the same team.
Yeah, me and you. I mean, not you, my friend, but you know what I'm saying. It's just how it's being directed. So it could be just like that. And we also have to remember that everything is seeking to always survive. Just like your physical body has to consume something to stay alive, the energies of the spirit world has to consume something to stay alive. And what they consume is the energy or the essence of the person in which the people who are on the planet. So if it's a negative force, it feeds off of that. If it's a positive force, it feeds off of that to keep those energies going. So it's a form of spiritual vampirism, like we were just talking about earlier, that keeps that going. So they feed off of that energy, and it's just a matter of how the person is oriented on which spiritual being is being fed from their energy or their essence.
Okay, I get it.
And also, like you mentioned earlier, like we have to figure out how we can't stop this train. It's already on the tracks. It's already going full steam ahead, which is, you know, the demise of America as we know it, or the systems in which, I mean, when I say America, I'm talking about the systems in which it represents, not just the physical landmass. So that way of being is on its way out, a way of living is on its way out, and something new is being ushered in. So how do you prepare for it?
Well,
because that's what you mentioned earlier, like you can't stop the train, but you have to be prepared in your own right to be able to survive what's coming. And how does one do that? And that kind of leads into what we were talking about last week, the being. What is a being? How should a being orient themselves to be able to survive this? Because one thing is for sure, you're not going to survive it on the physical plane, because the body itself,
not solely on the physical plane.
Not solely on the physical plane, but you have to use a physical plane to get to a point in which you can survive it. But the body itself is not going to survive. So the part of you that we're talking about, at least I'm talking about, is the being. What happens to that part of you? Because that part of you never dies. However, it can remain trapped here, or it can go on to be a part of, the all, so to speak.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is, what it sounds like, I'm not saying what you're saying. What it sounds like you're saying is that this right here is total destruction was getting ready to happen. There's no way to survive this physically. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That I do believe that there's going to be people that walk away from this physically. Like,
let me explain a little bit more what I mean.
Okay,
since you're picking back on that. What I mean by that is what we are as true beings is not the body.
Right.
It's something beyond that. That goes on beyond this, but the body itself is going to stay here. But the body is a vehicle that we use to ensure that what we truly are survives.
Okay. No. Okay. I get you now.
Sure.
I get you now.
Yeah.
Now I would say on the physical part of this though, the way to survive what's going on, what's getting ready to happen, what's actually happening. Ooh, okay, I'm going to say this.
All right, this better be good with that. Ooh.
No, I'm not going to talk about that yet. But remember troops. Remember the troops on the streets, because you mentioned that before. How that's not a good thing, but how to survive this. Even the guy says it in that video. But I am saying it's the same thing that I said before. We have to come together as a community. We have to be able to trade. We have to be able to use our skills in order to survive this. So once they find out and our fiat currency becomes garbage, even here in America, and they start cutting our trade routes here in America, which basically is our shipping and our transportation for goods to come in and out of our cities. We have to have people that know how to grow food in our cities. We need to have some kind of gardens in our backyard. That's what you was talking about last time, just having 3 or 4 tomato plants, how much food that can produce. If everybody in the community has 2 or 3 different foods, 2 or 3 different foods, if people can hurry up and start planting different type of trees that grow fruit in their communities, there will be more food for people to eat when the shipping ports or the transportation part goes down. People who know how to do wood building, carpenters, people who know plumbing, people who know construction work, all those people, you need those people in your community. Maybe not so much artists at this time, but those people need to be preserved at the same time. And the artists who can translate what we're getting ready to go through into their style of art, whether it be poetry, pictures, paintings,
talking like we're doing now.
Yeah, who can save that and push that into the future. We need those. That's how we survive now, because there's going to be a time where Costco closes, right? This comes with the troops, where the troops are. There's come time where Walmart isn't able to support the people in the community. There's going to be times where even the Rite Aid, where people need medical supplies, ain't going to have the stuff, because we're not going to have people coming in and out of certain communities, not all communities, but certain communities won't be able to get these goods. So there's going to have to be somebody in those communities that are able to share. But when I'm talking about troops, what you touched on last time was with Donald Trump and sending the National Guard into different cities, right? I personally think on the short term, it's a beautiful thing. I think that it's a beautiful thing, because if you look at Washington, it has worked for Washington. I have friends in Washington, D.C. that says, oh, now they feel safe. Now they feel safe because they didn't feel like the people was getting carjacked on a regular basis. People was getting robbed on a regular basis in that area. I got a brother who lives in Baltimore. He's like, man, I hope he does that project here in Baltimore, because so that his little girl can run around and they don't have to worry about somebody's kidnapping, or there's too much drugs out there, or somebody coming out and shooting up the neighborhood. You know what I mean? And of course, I think where I live, this is a great place to live. Ain't nobody gonna come out here and shoot up my neighborhood. You know what I mean? But if I do have a garden, some food or whatever, and this stuff does jump off. Oh, excuse me, I switched tracks. But there's people who don't like that, like the people in Chicago, the mayor in Chicago, right? Or governor in Chicago says they don't need Trump there, even though we know Chicago was nicknamed Chirac. Yeah, you need troops there. But at the same time, you put troops in all these places around the country, it becomes a police state even more so. And that part is a part that's really scary because
it is
martial
scary.
law kicks in. Right now, it sounds good, but once you get everything under control, you get all the fighters and everybody gone and handled and imprisoned, you take over the weak people. Not so much necessarily the weak. I ain't gonna call us weak because I'm most definitely not weak, but you take over the obedient people. You know, the obedient people will listen to a certain extent, and then right after that, then you have civil unrest that can be stomped out easier.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And my mind, every time I see the stories now, my mind automatically just leaps forward to what is being planted into the minds now, and how would that grow? So as soon as I see troops going on the street, my mind automatically goes to what does that look like in a year, 2 years from now? And one thing we know about the government is once they take a power from you, they don't give it back.
Give it back.
And all the rights that we gave up from 9/11, or the different some people call them false flags or whatever, they take those and they don't give them back. So if we start allowing the federal government to step into cities, what does that look like if they don't give it back? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. What's that? What's that one law? I just told you the alien
the 1978 alien law, whatever the hell.
Yeah, alien and enemy alien act.
Yeah.
Right. So what that looks like is he brings that law back. He already brought that law back, right? That's back. Now the next one is the domicile. If he got all the troops on the street, they need some place to live. They need some place to live. Okay, hey, go capture a house that can fit your squad.
You're talking about this right here, yeah. This law. Yeah. And yeah, so that's what that looks like, man. And if you think about the end game, my mind automatically goes with the end game for the Matrix is always total control.
Yeah.
So how do we get total control, or how do we move the society from where it is now to even more of a controlled society? And if you start doing things like putting people in fear of being robbed, or putting people in fear of, people carjacking them, let us bring the troops in, let us bring federal troops in so that we can police this, because the cities are not. And that sounds great because it sounds like a scenario in which, oh man, they got our back. But we can never forget, where does this crime and all this stuff originate from in the first place? How does this get seeded into a society in a way that it seems like it came into the society organically? And we know that violence and all of these types of things that are in these communities stems a lot from poverty, lack of education, lack of opportunity. Who creates situations where people are impoverished and has lack of opportunity? It's the people. It's the people who took the people who took the resources in the first place. So now we're relying on them to create safety. Okay, how does this even work long term? That's not their goal in the first place. Their first goal is not about your liberty or your freedoms.
Nope.
So if that's not their orientation, you got to call a dog a dog. I mean, let's just be honest. If that's not their orientation, how do we get true freedom and liberty out of a system in which it's not even designed to give you that? It's only designed to control. So that's why I think it's so dangerous to bring these troops in, even for the short term, because people are going to be so pacified with this immediate safety that they just overlook the long terms. Just like with 9/11, we gave up so much freedom to create safety in the airports. But now look at the airports, how, oh, you got to do this, they got to scan you, they got to check your iris and all these things just to travel. And that is not like the average citizen's experience in this world isn't to create violence. That's a very small few number of people when you really look at the population as a whole, but yet the entire population is being controlled by just a few. And then those few
And a few
have been
savages.
a few savages who have been
Yeah.
put in a position that has placed their psyche in a place that they're in survival mode. And who put the people in that state? And it was for their own gain to get the more control of the people. And that's how I kind of look at it. So, and the last thing I'll say about it is when they say, you know, we have to look at these texts, because I think the Bible is such a nuanced book that you can learn astrology, you can learn history, you can learn spirituality, you can learn yourself through that book. But it's also a book of planning that has gone on through, you know, through the lineages and over centuries. And they say in there, during this time of planning, which we're in right now in the book of Revelations, when they say peace, peace, then comes sudden destruction. So when they're talking about getting these troops on the street to bring peace, peace, then comes sudden destruction. What is the sudden destruction? It's this destruction of what the true enemy of the state is, which is the citizens who are awake, united, joined at the hip, and realizing what their true nature is, which is a being, which goes beyond the skin suit. It goes beyond all of that to something that really connects us, which is we're connected on the spiritual realm, which we don't see it that way, which is just a sickness of the mind. And we talked about last week, the only unpardonable sin is to not know that you're truly a being connected and is a microcosm of the all. And when you forget that, obviously it's the only unpardonable sin. Why? Because when you sin against yourself, when you say, I am not God, you're cut off from everything else. Nothing else matters. That's the only disconnect. And if they can keep you in a state where you don't know who you are, the job is done. Because once you know who you are, then you see that you're connected to everything, everyone. You have true knowledge then, because now you have the access to the true internet, which is the Ethernet, the ether or the air, and the power of the air to then, just like the you know, like the psychics and the clairvoyants and all those things have access to that. So that's the true cutoff.
Oh,
go for it. Go for it.
No, go ahead, man. That's the true cutoff. Dude, I just went ghetto. Did you hear me say AA? I did that shit twice, man. That's, what the fuck? I hate that shit. That just bugged me. But I was trying to interrupt and then I didn't want to. Man, but that threw me off, man. I gotta be blessed or something, man. Throw some holy water on me. I don't like that.
What are you talking about, bro? I don't even know what you're talking about, bro.
Nah, it's like okay. Nah, it's just I didn't like that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm off. I gotta say this to get this out of my system. I was at work and I was talking to this girl and I was telling her she was tripping. She was like, this girl, one of my officers was. She said one of my officers was treating her bad and this and that. And she was telling me the situation. I was like, well, ma'am, that's exactly what I would have did. You know, she was trying to help you and you're not accepting the help. So you have to go do it this way. You know, she was like, well, you wasn't here when blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, yeah. Or no, she don't go, yeah. She said, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck is that? You know, I'm like, how do I help you? And I noticed I hear that in and I heard that a couple times in some music, and I heard it a couple times in some skits on YouTube, on Facebook. That's why I'm off Facebook now. I don't do Facebook anymore. I'm sick and tired of that shit. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you could.
Now, when we're talking about the unpardonable sin. I think that is so true, that we must remember that we are gods. And when we do remember that we're gods, are connected to the source, that we're part of the source, we are the source, but pieces of it.
Yes.
You know, that when we say that, there's fear, not for all of us. Sure. Obviously not for Kanye West. Obviously not for what's his name? Barry White. You know, he, God rest his soul. But for those people who actually understood and believe that they are gods, some people believe it and just won't say it, and just will act it, like how they said, like people talk about Jesus. You know, if you want to be a Christian, you don't got to preach Jesus. All you got to do is do everything that is Christ-like, and people will see it in you and want to follow you. Then you can tell them about it, but let them see it in you first. So there's people that are like that and believe it. So we just got to actually seek those people out, and then just be around them. Birds of a feather flock together. If we're hanging around the people that be like, yeah, all that shit, that's who we're gonna be like. And I'm not saying God can't be in those people, because God is those people. But the main question is everybody part of the source? I don't think so. I don't think everybody that is walking on this earth in this physical meat suit, dirt suit, whatever you want to call it, is part of the source. And I'm not talking about there being physical jinns. I'm talking about the ones who are in control of this realm.
Sure.
The ones who made us think that our peacefulness is savagery.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and you're right, because we have to think about it. Like, here's a way to think about it. You know how when they're talking about, like, you're gonna go out of space, right? You're gonna go out of space. You're an astronaut. This body right here cannot survive in that atmosphere. You have to have an astronaut suit, or, you know, whatever kind of gear you got to wear. You got to train, get your body ready. I mean, you can believe what you want to believe about outer space. I have my own theories. I don't think it's what they tell us, but the point I'm making is you can't do it in this body, right? If you're going to go to Mars, you're going to have a Martian type body, whatever it is, to survive on the atmosphere. So if you think about spirits coming from an invisible realm or another place to survive on this planet, you have to have this kind of body. You have to have a body that can adapt to this physical environment, because that's just what it takes. So to your question is, what you said, you don't think everyone here is connected to that same source. My answer to that is they are not, because they just have this body and they look like us, they walk like us, but that don't mean their spirit is the same as the spirit of the source of the humans who are really connected to this source. They just have this body, but inside is something else. Yes. They have to be something else, or at the very least being guided by some type of unnatural force that would seek to destroy the natural inhabitants of this place. And we can look no further than just look around at the trees being cut down. Something here is parasitic or adverse to what is going on here. And they are wearing this same suit like we are, but they're not like us.
Not like us at all.
Not like us.
Not like us at all. Yeah.
So what is us? That's the question. What is us? What is a natural state of a being in its true state that is connected to that source that goes beyond the fake matrix that was created to create the illusion or the simulation like the real world?
I believe that us are exactly what I said earlier. We're gods.
Yep.
And we are the ones that you see are the peaceful ones. Are the peaceful ones. I do feel that we have that ability to be beyond violent,
Yes.
beyond the what we see our oppressors give us. We have that ability. I think that we are afraid to show that because we don't want to be that for whatever reason. Our spirits are like, we can destroy you whenever we want to, but in order for us to do that, we have to go to a place where we don't want to go, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
like, because in a way where we for us to defend ourselves is different. It's totally different when we, in my mind, maybe it may not be for everybody, but in my mind, it's totally different when we have to defend somebody else that we actually love and care for. Me, oh yeah, you if I'm by myself, oh yeah, you punch me. All right, hey dude, just go the fuck on. Go on. You act like you're gonna do that to my daughter, to my son, and I'm around my wife, I'm fucking you up. You actually get a chance to hit my wife, my daughter, son, you might not live. You know what I mean? You hurt my family physically, you're not going to live. You know what I mean? It's a different type of protection, and I think that part is the part that scares people who are of peace. We do have warriors. You know what I mean? I believe we all are warriors, but some of us just choose peace. We have that option. Or I don't even think it's called peace. I think peace is something that is made up. We choose something else.
Wholeness.
Wholeness. We choose wholeness instead of violence or whatever. Anyway, I'm getting into a different place.
It's like, you know, shout out to Seven Bomar. I think I mentioned him before, and he uses the term wholeness because when you think of the word peace, it's like a lot of these other words. It's a divisive word because something is not whole, is broken up into parts. It's pieces, peace. But wholeness is a recognition that everything is united because the spirit in which enlivens everything is permeating everything. So it's whole and united. So what we really want is wholeness, not peace. We want to feel whole. A person who's healed feels whole. They invite every part of themselves. And if you're about wholeness, how are you going to attack? If I love you as my brother, I'm not gonna go shoot you and try to kill you. I'm gonna bring you into my household and welcome you because we're
Yeah,
one.
but we see, this is the thing though.
Sure.
We know that these meat suit stillers, they're not our brothers.
Snatchers.
Yeah, these body snatchers aren't our brothers. These people who are in control of us, they're not part of us. They're not
right.
They're not us.
Their mission is to destroy. Yeah.
We're not even in the same. So we should be able to. But that's what I was trying to get at. We're afraid that once we do everything, I believe once we do that, we know that on the other side, after we are done destroying whatever's harming us, that healing process is pretty rough. And I think that's where our fear comes in. Because if you notice, a lot of people who are good people went over to Iraq to go defend a lie of weapons of mass destruction, killed a lot of people, killed some people, killed one person, did something to support somebody to kill somebody. I'm talking about the different levels of the killing. Came back here and couldn't live with themselves. When they had an opportunity to heal, some of them was like, I can't do it. I had to kill those kids. I had to shoot that woman. I had to support these people to murder these people who did nothing wrong. And then they kill themselves. We know that happens. Well, you see it, you hear it on the news. I'm in groups to where I hear that. You know what I mean? And people struggle because they went to the other side of their goodness or of themselves. They felt they had to defend. Once you defend, you come back and you have to deal with what you did. Some people can't deal with those demons that haunt them after they have practiced that side of life.
Well, I think
go ahead. No, I'm saying, and that's where we're at. That's why we were so easily conquered, because we don't want to go to that side. And the ones that go to that side, it's hard for them to come back.
I mean, yeah, you said a lot. I'm trying to think how I wanted to say it. So when you're in your true being, it says that the universe or God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Most of the people that you're dealing with don't have sound minds. They've been put in a state of fear, which makes it harder to love in a way that would be beneficial for the whole. And Satan, or the negative energy, is just here to seek out to kill, steal, and destroy. That's the opposite energy of that. So anytime there's some stealing, killing, and destroying, that's a negative force. But when you really realize, like what you said before, we have the ability to go beyond a certain force, but we also have to realize, I think we talked about it before, there's a creation and then there's a second creation. And the second creation is that of the negative energy force. So with that type of creation, now you're playing the darker energy forces, which is the divisiveness, the stealing, the killing, and destroying. But once you wake up to who you are, a God consciousness, that energy can no longer exist in that person.
Okay.
Because so when you really realize who you are, those negative energy forces go away, because the true creator, not the one of the demiurge or the second one, those type of energies don't exist in that energetic. Only here in the 3D world that's been created to simulate what the real world is, where everything is whole. Here is just divisive. So the difference is, like, what is a human being who's in their low state has an opposite energy force of someone in the real state. So like a being here is limited, whereas if you're in the true state, you're unlimited. A person in their true power is omniscient, omnipotent. All these are qualities of the true state of a human being. Go ahead.
I got a question, because what you're saying is what I'm hearing. I'm not saying what
Sure.
what I'm hearing is that if we're in our true state, you're either, from what I'm hearing two things. Either if I'm in my true state, I don't have the ability to defend myself.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Or if I'm in my true state, when it comes to defending myself, I have no fear, no problem. I can kill a motherfucker that's while defending myself, and just pow, 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 and then walk on my way without any issues. Is that what you're saying?
No, not really without any issues. I think it's kind of like love, for example. love can be used to just just nurture someone, take care of, but it also can be used to defend yourself. Like in your example where you said if you fuck with my kids, that's your ass, and that's
Mhm.
an act of love for your children or your family members. So love is not passive.
No, it's
Love
not.
is it's not a passive force that just lays down and accepts everything that comes to it. It's very active force, and it can be a destructive force too, but in with the intention of furthering wholeness or furthering, in this case, the seed, or furthering life that is going to be positive for the environment, or positive for the beings that are going to carry on the lineage of true goodness.
So basically, right now, we're in a Thanos situation, right?
Break it down for about Thanos.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm trying to add what you're saying, what you just now said. So there's our being, our being who wants love and peace and all this other stuff, right? And the controllers, the other people, the other Jinn, right? Or whatever, they actually want love and peace and harmony. However, they feel that there's a different way to go about it. They see love, peace, and harmony as they have to destroy this way of life so that they can get it. But because I'm on this way of life that they want to destroy, they look like demons to me. And they are actually correct because Thanos was correct. We were Avengers on this side, and I'm like, that's the wrong way to do it. So now I got to fight against you. Even though there's 19 of us, there's only a few, one of you who's doing this. You see what I mean? Like, so these conquerors are actually good too. Is that what you're saying? Even though they're trying to destroy, kill, and lie to us and everything?
No, it's not that. That's why that's why I really don't like the terms good or evil per se, or good or bad. They're acting out of their own sense, appealing to their own sense pleasures, right? So, like, let's look at P Diddy.
We're,
I'm sure.
okay,
Let's just
P.
talk. Let's just
Puff,
look at
Puff,
P Diddy.
Puff.
So, yeah, Puff Daddy. Some of the things that he was doing.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he loved doing the things that he was doing, but look how it destroyed people and their lives and their psyche. And but I'm sure he loved it, and he was acting out of the love that he had for doing whatever the things he was doing, but it was still destroying. That's how the negative polarity of love, even though it can feel like I'm doing good, I love the way this feels, I love the way that person said that to me, or it's still an act of destruction. And that's what I mean by kind of the negative aspect of love, which it cannot do anything but divide and destroy. But on the
Love
other
can
end,
only
no,
divide
no,
and
no,
destroy.
the negative aspect of um I guess because everything has a positive, negative
The
energy to
negative
it.
aspects of love, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People's love language is different. I might think loving you is not you, but loving a person is licking their face. But they got eczema, and when I lick their face, it hurts them real
Yeah,
bad. You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it's like you're killing me, but I love you. I'm showing you love.
Or I love you so much, I'm not gonna let you talk to anyone else. You just mine. You're all mine, and that becomes possession. Now
Well,
you're in my possession. So it,
yeah,
so you know what I'm saying. So where there's also a force of love that just seeks to unite and bring things together and build things up.
yeah, but that might be not the other person's love. I love, like another person, I love to be separate, and you keep bringing me next to you. Stop it. You know.
And so like you have to like
So we're going to be fighting no matter what. Is basically what you're saying.
yeah, and there's no way around the fighting, because that's what it takes to create a world. The polar opposites, the the interaction between the positive and negative forces is what creates something. The friction and the movement between something positive and negative is what creates life, and we can see that represented as like the 0 and 1, like the binary code. Everything is that. So you have a 0 and a 1, the masculine principle and the feminine principle. When they go against each other, then life is created. And you can see this. I know it is a sexual term, because everything is created out of these energies, and these energies coming together is an intermixing of the two, which creates a new life. You can look at it from sex. You can look at it from animals, flowers, putting a seed into the ground. That's a physical aspect of putting something into a feminine womb, and then it creates new life. So it's this interaction between the two energies that creates a world. So yes, the fighting or the conflict or the duality between positive and negative will go on, and that's how you create a world here.
And that's how you create that's how the spiritual world creates as well, then, I guess.
Yes.
So even in the spiritual world, and on at least for the way it's being spoke about, you need that duality in order to create
the world here. The world here.
Well, but what about the spiritual world?
The spiritual world,
because you have what the fight is against, what you say, principalities and
principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places.
In high places. So there's a duality of good, bad, positive, negative in the spiritual realm. So that would, if it's up there in a different realm, it has to be in every realm possibly that we go in, that there's going to be a fight from one side and another side.
And this is how they trick us, bro. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. This is how they trick us and make us think that on the physical realm, the way things go here is how it always existed. But in this metaphysical Bible, it talks about how to believe that the true creator created or is perpetuating the evil and things that's going on is not really true, because we have to remember there's a realm beyond the realm where duality exists. Duality exists here, not in every realm. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I think it's under law. H-O-J-K-L. I have to do my alphabet out loud sometimes, bro.
Well, that's cool. I have to count out loud sometimes.
L-A. So law. Okay, so only spiritual things are eternal and real. All inharmonies, and seeming limitations in the world are the result of man's error in the world, and are the result of man's error beliefs and thoughts. And man can eliminate them by eliminating error from his mind. And this is law in the metaphysical dictionary I was talking about. It's explaining what law really means on a metaphysical level. Man can do this by understanding that God's creation or the universe creation is all that there is, and knowing it to be good. In this way, divine ideals are established in the mind, and by the law of mind action, they are expressed, thus bringing into manifestation the perfection that ever exists in the ideal. So this concept of this good and this what is it called? He can do this by himself. The result of the inharmonies and seeming limitations is an error of how things are really supposed to be. according to the metaphysical Bible. So when you were talking about going beyond, there is a beyond the duality that exists where it puts you in a higher state. So you know how they say the truth is always somewhere in the middle. You got one polarity here, the other polarity, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. That is what will allow you to rise above the duality. And when you rise above the duality, now you're in the true, you're able to see the duality for what it is, which is the division, and then allows you to see everything from a whole state.
Right. So it's basically the idea of singularity.
Bingo. Because when you tap into the true internet, now you've tapped into everything, and you see everything is everything. Everything is one, and you're one with it.
I get that, but how high do you got to go to get past the singularity? Because that right there, if you think about it, what's the main goal of the governments here?
Division.
One world order. Their
and the
form of
negative
singularity.
the negative aspect of the one world, for sure.
Yeah, but it's still their singularity.
Sure.
And of course, we're going to think it's negative. We're going to think it's negative because it's not what we want. You know what I mean? It's not what we want. It's on the opposite side of what we believe is right, because we don't want to be controlled in the way that they feel controlling everything brings peace.
Yeah. So whenever there's a singularity on here's a way to think of it too. Everything that manifests in the physical realm or the world of division manifests first in the spiritual realm. So the singularity will happen spiritually before the singularity happens in the physical world, because that's just how things work. So the singularity will happen on the spiritual realm also.
Right.
And it has to. But yeah, they are and this is why I mentioned earlier how this is a simulation that is a recreation of what the real world is. So people always say that this is a simulation we're living in, but what is it simulating? It's simulating the real world, meaning that it's a replica of what's really happening. And what's really happening is unification in the spiritual world is happening at a rate that's going to precede the singularity happening in the fake world, which is why they're trying so hard to bring about their singularity and keep people dumb to the fact that, oh, we are all united on the spiritual realm, which is happening. That's why this is called the time of revelations. We're all waking up to who we really are as beings, and who we really are as beings will allow quote unquote good to triumph over evil, because we've talked about it before. How are you going to know what's real or what's fake in a world where everything is created artificially? It's because you have something that moves faster than light. They tell us here that nothing can move faster than light, but light is created by consciousness. And the consciousness that creates that, you are that. So you can essentially move faster than light in the right state. And that's the God state, because that's the if we're microcosms of God, that means we have these aspects. If we don't cut ourselves off from them, we're omniscient, we omnipresent, we don't have a body.
We're omnipotent.
We're unlimited. We have Christ consciousness. We're creators. We're beyond the matrix. But on the other hand, you're limited. You're fearful. You're disconnected. You're immortal. You're gonna die soon. You abide by human laws instead of the natural laws. All of those things are created within the fake matrix. So when you realize who you are, you go beyond that. And that is kind of the first form of freedom, is that spiritual side of the freedom, to wake up the consciousness, to free that. And then you can act that out through the physical body, which is the acting out of what's in your mind and what's in your consciousness is being manifested through the physical body. So if you can activate that first, then you can walk that out and live that out. And people who are walking that out and living that out is what the fake matrix fears, which is why they work so hard to keep that hidden in plain sight, what you really are. Because, like I mentioned earlier, the body is going to stay here because it's part of the earth. It's made of the same elements, same minerals, same things like that. But what you are is beyond that. You are the consciousness that goes beyond that. So that is the true liberation, is to realize that you are that beyond the light, beyond the creation here. Go for it.
I got to go pretty soon, but you
Yeah.
just said something that the trick is, just like they had in that movie. We just need one. We just need one, right? And then we're thinking we just need Jesus to come back and we're all good. Not we as everybody, but some people think that we just need Jesus to come back, instead of us thinking, I am that one.
Yes. And that's the trick.
And we're thinking, instead of us thinking, I am that one, we're thinking, I can't be that one because I ain't did this, I ain't did that. Instead of just having
guilt,
the knowledge of, I am that one. And if I'm here, there's others.
Yes. And when they say when you wake up to Christ consciousness, some other esoteric, like other things to say, when you wake up your kundalini energy, it goes up to the body, and then the pineal gland lights up, or the light goes off, or the thought or realization of who you are goes off. And in the Bible it says, let your light shine so that men may see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. That Father that is in heaven breathes into everything. And when you realize you're the one, someone else says, ooh, they're the one, I could be the one too. And it's really that, like, each one teach one. If my light goes off, your light goes off, their light goes off, and people start to realize that I am the light too. And it's not about
I am the light too. That's
I am the light too. I am the light too. And that's what Christ said. Know ye not that ye are gods? Don't be worshiping me. You're gods too. Like, greater things than this ye shall do, is what he said. So we're all that. And the biggest trick is to make us think we're not that. So it's not anywhere to go. It's not any place, anything to achieve. It's just a realization. That's why it's called self-realization. Realizing that the self is a microcosm of everything. And when you realize that, who can stop you? No weapon formed against you can prosper then. Why? Because it's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. You can't stop an immortal. You just can't. Even if the body dies, this consciousness goes on. It's immortal. You can't stop me. No weapon can stop this.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
All the way up. Where? All the way up here in the pineal gland, in my Christ consciousness, sitting on the throne. They say that that this is the seat of the soul, where the pineal gland is, and then the head is the seat of the soul. You can't stop it. No, you can kill the body, but you can't stop that. I think the Bible says, why fear a man who can affect the body when the all can affect the soul?
Yeah. Then we're gonna have to talk about the destruction.
Yes,
we're gonna have to talk about the so-called destruction of Kanye West.
Okay.
And the only reason why I'm saying that is because even though he doesn't have a super large platform like he did before when he was doing the devil's work, I'm just playing, but his platform isn't as large. He still has the same energy. It's not. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. He lost all that money, but he's still pushing forward. So no weapon formed against him shall prosper. If we're looking at prosperity as only fake paper money, then Kanye hasn't been stopped because his music is still out. Him saying he's a god is still out. Him saying that everything he said is still here. Nothing can stop him. He already went up. You can take his money away, but his energy, his power, his force, his words hasn't stopped. I'm not saying I'm worshiping the brother. I'm not saying that at all. I don't even listen to all his music, but I'm just pointing out that fact of this person who said that he is a god. He stood on that. He fought against those people, even though they said, don't say this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and he did it. And he's still doing it. They ain't stopping. Anyway.
Yeah. That's good. We can dig into it next time.
All right. I'm going to go, brother.
All right, bro. Holla at you. Good one.
Yep. Good one.